two sons of Aaron, they took the incense and they went inside to the Holy of Holies, and they brought a fire which they weren't commanded to bring. And because they did that, so it says in Pasuk Beis, it says that a fire came out and they died. The fire went out and it ate them up and consumed them and they died. So what happened was, so now it comes out that those are Aaron's two sons. So Aaron's two sons died. That means Aaron was now, he was an onen. So they had to take out the dead bodies. So that was done by two other cousins, Mishal Vel Tzafin. Okay, now there were specific commands that was set over now how Aaron and Elazar were supposed to act, and we see what happens there. We'll see that they shouldn't cut their hair and they shouldn't rip their clothes.
Who's this?
That Aaron and Elazar,
his two sons.
Aaron and Elazar and Isamar, his two sons, they had a command that you, because you're the Kohen Gadol, Aaron, make sure that you don't cut your hair. And the Gemara learns out from here, we see that someone who is an Avel, you see that so it says, Rashechem al tifro, your heads, they shall not be, they shouldn't let grow long. Only because they were special, because they were they were the Kohen Gadol, and the Kohen Hedja, they were making the inauguration of the Beis HaMikdash. So he said, you should not leave your heads to be unshorn, to be let wild, let the hair grow, and which we deduce from there that everyone else, a regular mourner, has to let his hair grow. From that pasuk, Rashi says that this is the source, that from here that a regular Avel has to be careful not to take a haircut.
That's why you look like you do.
Al Teganu Sar. Avel, we learn from here that an Avel cannot take a tasporet. Right. Tasporet is scissors. Okay, and the reason was that why even Elazar and Isamar with the two children, why were they able to take a haircut? Because this was the day, a special day it was Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the first day of Nisan, and that was when they were inaugurating the Beis HaMikdash. We just finished 7 days of a practice run where Moshe was the Kohen Gadol, so to speak, and Moshe was practice trial run. Moshe was doing everything, and now is the first day of Nisan, and now they were actually starting out the inauguration of the Beis HaMikdash with Aaron and his children, and it was a happy day, the first day of Nisan. There were 10 special things happened on this day, and therefore Hashem said it's not worth it to ruin the happiness of the day. So what we'll do is certain things we don't want to take any, let's say, to bother the happiness. Let's keep the happiness.
This is the year after the Yetziah, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay, because when they just had the first day of Nisan, we just finished the last couple of our shield that they're.
So that's how we know. Also,
they're the 14th of Nisan.
You don't have Shiva if you say someone passes away just before. Isn't that correct? Or
before when?
Pesach. Say.
Before Pesach, yes. So that's interesting.
That's not Rosh Chodesh, but I mean like Pesach.
Well, here was before. It was on Rosh Chodesh.
But they were inaugurating.
Yeah, so it was a special thing. That's an interesting idea. The truth is, I didn't even go into this whole thing, but you're right. Pesach would maybe we'll have to see what it would do, because Pesach would come out really middle of the Shloshim. Mm-hmm. I actually saw someone bring it down, but I didn't look into it because I didn't think I would get a question on this tonight. But it's a good question, and I have to look into it. It's very good. It's a very good question, because usually a Yom Tov cuts off, let's say, Shiva. But we'll have to see exactly how that.
So what was your question?
No, I have to see.
Here is way before.
No, I'm just wondering, was a source for that?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
because he told Aaron, because this happens to be the inauguration,
right,
that so don't do anything, right?
Right.
So I'm thinking maybe.
You want to know maybe that?
Like, how do we know that we don't do on Yom Tov? Is it from that? That was my question.
Right.
But maybe that's not. Maybe we know from somewhere else. It's very likely. But I'm just.
I have to look up. No, but I did see that they do bring down this idea of Pesach cutting off in terms of the Shloshim.
Right.
But
in terms of the 30 days.
That's all Chag. All Chagim do that.
All Chag cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they bring down over here. I don't remember what the question was, but they did, maybe how do you have shloshim? Maybe, how was there ever a shloshim? It got cut off, maybe the 30 days got cut off right away at 15.
Right.
So maybe the question was that how could we learn out that there's such an idea of shloshim from here? It got cut off by Pesach.
Right.
Maybe that was the
I
idea.
think we learned from the death of Aaron. Don't we?
There we learned that one is supposed to mourn.
With
Okay, we'll have to check up what the question was, but they do speak about this idea. Okay, so that was the first thing, that a person has to make sure not to take a haircut for at least the first 30 days. We even say even longer. We say to wait until it's so disheveled that people will say, what is this? That they should go over to him and say that he looks so disheveled. That's when he needs to take a haircut. After it could be a month and a half, 2 months, whatever that will be. That's the first halacha, and the second halacha is the second thing that the pasuk says. The verse there says not only verse vav, Rashechem al tifro, don't leave your heads to be para, to be wild. Don't let the hair grow wild. And the second thing is bigdechem lo sifroimu, your clothes.
Don't.
So tifroimu, right to rip. Don't rip your clothes, because right now it's a special day. We're in the middle of a big happy occasion that Hashem is bringing down His divine presence on the Beis HaMikdash, which was the first time ever. So such a special day, we don't want to bother or do any distractions from that day to interfere with the joy of that inauguration, and therefore Hashem said you should not show any of these types of expressions of grief, even to their brothers. Even Elazar and Isamar were the two other brothers that Aaron had he had 4 sons, so these were the 2 remaining brothers. He told them you shouldn't do any of these types of showing expressions of grieving. But we learn out from there that everyone else does, and from here that's where Kriya is. Kriya is that they shouldn't.
You don't Kriya for your brothers though, like.
Sure.
Do you?
Sure.
Yeah, why not? I think it's one of the 7 krovim. It's one of the 7 close relatives.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So Hashem told Moshe. Moshe told Aaron, don't rip your clothes, because it's a special day. We don't want to interfere with the specialness of the day and the joy, and therefore don't rip your clothes. But everyone else, we learn out it has to do kriya. Okay, so this is the first part. And that's the idea that that's what happened right there. Now let's turn to the next page, and then what happened was there was a big issue here that happened with Moshe and Aaron, because the question was about now, are they allowed to eat the korban? Right now they had,
Because of their status.
because of their status, right? That we had now 3 korbanos, 3 sacrifices that they were bringing on that day. One of them was to inaugurate they had all of the shvatim, all of the tribes brought a korban. They brought a special sacrifice. So Yehuda, his tribe, brought the first sacrifice. And if you remember, on Hanukkah it goes through, we read all of the korbanos that they brought in Parashas Pinchas. And it goes through so it goes through all of the korbanos that they brought on the first day, and it's identical laning
for each one, yeah.
because each one brought it to inaugurate the Beis HaMikdash. So that the first day was today. So Yehuda his tribe came in with the one who jumped into the Yam Suf.
Nachshon.
There you go. Nachshon ben Aminadav. He was the leader of the tribe. He was the head. So he brought the first korban. Now that was today. That was on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. That was the first thing. There was another korban, which was the inauguration, similar, of the Beis HaMikdash that Aaron had to bring, which you'll see that was in the beginning of this parsha. So in reference to those 2, that was one thing, bringing those korbanos and doing the service with that. And then there was another question here. There was also the question of eating these korbanos. So the Kohen Gadol, he by the way, he always has to do the temple service, even if he's now an onen. So here we were dealing with the fact that it was the inauguration. So therefore, all Kohanim had to continue doing the service and bring all these karbanos. By the way, there was a third carbon. The carbon was, since it was Rosh Chodesh Nisan, so they brought the carbon of Rosh Chodesh, a seir, a little goat, a goat for a kapara, because it gives atonement, right? Seir echad lechatos, for a chatos, it gives atonement on Rosh Chodesh. That's what we know, that we say it's a kapara, l'chol toldoisam. Right, we say in the Shemona Esrei there, it's a forgiveness.
So at this time, it's only Aaron and the 4 sons that are considered Kohanim?
At
this particular time?
At that particular time, and now that the 2 sons died,
it's Aaron and 2 sons.
Now it's 2 sons, but in terms of doing the service and bringing these karbanos, Aaron and his 2 sons were allowed to continue, and his 2 sons could just do it even though they were an onain. And usually an onain, he wouldn't do service, he wouldn't do the service, he wouldn't bring the carbon, but here he would. Why? Because it was the day of the inauguration, and therefore that took precedence. Okay. Now, the big question was, were they also allowed to eat from that carbon? Because this type of carbon was there's certain parts you could eat. So Aaron and his sons, they weren't sure. There was an argument if you could eat from those carbon, and the question was basically, in terms of, let's say, the inauguration offering, so that was a special sacrifice. So on that, they said, okay, that's a one-time sacrifice. It's only one time in history. So since Hashem said to Moshe he should eat it, so they knew they should eat it. Just like they said a similar offering they should eat. This is a one-time sacrifice. But the question was, what about the Rosh Chodesh goat? That Rosh Chodesh goat wasn't special to the inauguration. So their question was, maybe if they're an onain, maybe an onain does not eat it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking up just this, where do we learn out an onain from? How do you know that an onain doesn't do mitzvahs? How do we know an onain doesn't make brachas? It's a very unusual situation that people speak about, that they're not allowed to make a bracha. They're so used to making a bracha, they have to eat the food, right? They have to eat food, right in this status of right after the person dies. So the onain means the one who it's incumbent
it's
on
like
to
the
bury.
karpas on Seder night. There's always somebody who makes the bracha when they wash.
For the washing.
You just can't. It's just so ingrained.
Yeah, that's it. So they're right, and so here too, you have to.
Someone who's mourning can't make bracha
On the first day till the burial.
Till the person's buried, they're in an onain status.
So it's a special status. The special status which the Gemara learns out in brachas on Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph. Yud, actually it starts on Yud Zayin Amud Beis. You'll get up to there soon, because I know you're learning brachas. Yud Zayin Amud Beis. When you get up to there, then you'll see all the source. But the source, actually the Gemara learns out, is from Chumash. We learn out in the beginning of the Torah, in Sefer Bereshis, that there was a story with burial. And there, right, Irving, remember that story with the burial?
Sarah?
There you go. Irving hit the jackpot.
Oh, I said Sarah. I didn't say Sarah. I said Sarah, like a question. I wasn't saying
Okay, you almost hit the jackpot, baby.
Said it right.
I heard Sarah.
Yeah.
State.
Okay, Irving, you have to get the tune right. But you got the right answer.
It's the wrong trope.
The wrong trope. Okay, we'll let you daven, but you can't lane. So the Mishnah there says that the person who has a person who dies, and he's in charge to bury him. So the rule is he has to bury him. He has to take care of all of the whatever arrangements have to be made. So therefore, since it's called Mesa, the dead person is mutal lefanov. It's like lying in front of him, so he has to take care of it.
And well, a mace mitzvah is really, maybe what they're really saying is that it sort of is the first priority. That's what bigger mitzvah can you do than to ensure that someone who's passed away is properly buried, etc., etc.
Right. Yes. So that's true. Is
it because of that, or because of the understanding that when you have a mitzvah in front of you, that's what the one you're doing? Like it.
No, but a lot of times you can have a mitzvah, you still would say a bracha though. I mean, you could be out or getting tzedakah. If somebody gives you an apple, you don't say the bracha over an apple because you're doing the mitzvah of collecting tzedakah or something. No.
Irving is saying, I'm in the middle of doing one mitzvah, maybe I don't have to do another mitzvah. Let's say, take a classic case. Let's say you're middle davening. Let's say middle davening, Shemona Esrei, and a poor person comes to you to get a little bit stuck up. So you osik. Irving's saying osik b'mitzvah. He's involved in a mitzvah, pater in a mitzvah.
Right.
So you're pater for another mitzvah. So Irving's saying he's involved now in burial. He has to be involved, and it's incumbent upon him to do all the arrangements. So he's pater from other mitzvahs, be it putting on tefillin or making brachas.
No, I would say no.
Is that what you're saying, Irving?
No, like Brian was expounding that a mitzvah is a huge mitzvah. Nobody's saying no, but it in and itself it is. But maybe it also is because, I mean, any mitzvah, if you're involved in it, I mean, if it's in front of you, you shouldn't be passing it up anyways.
I guess the point that I would make is that if you're involved in making arrangements for, it's just the extent, the degree of which, because yeah, you could say, okay, well, I'm not going to go and daven and make sure I'm with a minyan, because I have to get these arrangements done. But that doesn't mean, but why would you also say then that if you're eating an apple while you're making the arrangements, not stopping you from making the appropriate arrangements, that you wouldn't say a bracha over it? And yet, that's what they're saying, you don't say bracha. So you have to think to yourself, this is something a little bit different than just the fact that because you have a mitzvah.
Now I have even more interesting.
But that's not the person who's
Guys,
involved.
you're forgetting whom we're talking about. Now I have a question. Are he allowed to bury his sons? He's a Kohen Gadol.
No, he has a mitzvah to it.
No, you can bury your own. Even a Kohen can bury his own
Kohen,
son.
not a Kohen Gadol.
I think even the Kohen Gadol, if he's the only one available.
Kohen Gadol may bury his father.
What about Elazar and Isamar?
Pardon?
Elazar and Isamar. What about the two brothers?
Right. Two other brothers, yeah.
They were involved in the
burial.
So they were exempt. They were pater from that.
But they were an onain.
They were.
They were called an onain. They were called an onain.
That's why they had to get the Moshe's nephews to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this was a special dispensation only because the Mishkan was now being inaugurated.
Mm-hmm.
So even though they were an
But
onain,
if it's being inaugurated, now they're officially Kohen Gadol and Kohen.
and he was
Before the warrant, now they're...
now that they were officially now a Kohen Gadol and they were inaugurated the Mishkan, so now they got a dispensation because they don't want to ruin the joy of that first day.
No different story of burying their relatives.
Yeah, but there's other people around.
Bury his father, not his son.
So Kohen Gadol himself, he has to always do the service, even if he's an onain. That's true. But the question was, is he able to eat the offerings, the Kohen Gadol? Because Kohen Gadol, maybe he shouldn't eat. He's not allowed to eat a regular. Someone would come in. The Rosh Chodesh one. The Rosh Chodesh is a regular offering. It will come every Rosh Chodesh from then on after, and every Beis HaMikdash will have the Rosh Chodesh. Osir,
Right.
You'll hear it on Sunday. They do the Musaf. Osirizim lechatos lechapara. It comes for a kapara. So the question is, he wasn't able to eat that. Aaron claimed. Then Aaron therefore burnt the offering. He burnt it. So, because he said, we're not allowed to eat it. None of us. Not any of us three. So, because he was an onain. And Moshe said, well, why are you burning it? Why did you burn it? Maybe you should have eaten it. So Aaron said, no. There's a difference between those two offerings and this Rosh Chodesh offering. Those two were one-time offerings. The Shah, it was only for that time. So those two, which were for the inauguration, they get special. That's a special one-time dispensation from Hashem. But in terms of the Rosh Chodesh offering, that was not a one-time dispensation. That was a regular Rosh Chodesh offering that an onain doesn't eat. Now, to get into this idea, so what is this?
So where does it come from?
Now let's go to onain. Now, first of all, Irving is right. The Gemara speaks about that not only if the person has the dead body in front of him, but the Gemara says even if the dead body is not in front of him, he is pater. He is exempt from all mitzvahs because Gemara learns out from Avraham. Because Avraham was bargaining with Ephron, and Avraham, he said the words that, listen to me and let me buy the land. And then it says that Avraham then said, "Vayikra Macy, I want to bury my dead body," and Rashi says that at that time the Sarah wasn't in front of him. Apparently, you have to know, but the Gemara is calling it that Sarah wasn't there, and therefore, from the fact that it wasn't in front of him, you see, he was still called an onain. Avraham was still called an onain. Okay, so anyway, that's the source. It's like it was called. It's like it was in front of him because it says that he was there. Now, so let's get into this idea. So why is an onain exempt from all mitzvahs? So on that, you have the first idea is that the primary responsibility is on him to bury.
Right.
So since it's so much on him, here's the first start. The first thing is it's so much incumbent upon him to bury. Therefore, he has to concentrate and put all of his efforts into it.
Then how come all the other people that are not involved are still patur?
Who? No. So it's the people. It's incumbent upon them.
But the two.
If you have 10 people, 10 families,
brothers,
10,
let's say.
10 siblings,
Right.
and I mean it's customary that the bechor would usually take special status on most occasions, I would think, on this too. So, I mean, yes, other people can be involved, but why would they? They're not involved to the degree that, like, the bechor is maybe involved in.
Well, I'm not sure. It could be they all have to make all the arrangements together. Could be they're all together.
So if I have a family and we're in this situation, and an uncle, not an uncle, but
Would be a father or mother.
my wife, the daughter-in-law of the person who passes, can take care of all the arrangements. I mean, we're still on him.
Yeah, but even if he happens to be sitting on the side and not doing anything in that minute.
Well, that's the point. What if there's 5 brothers and their parent passes away? So like, does all and one of them they're all owning, but
they're all patur.
and not only
they're
that,
all patur. I'll
why?
tell you.
Again, my question, why can't they say a bracha on when they're eating an apple? It's not stopping
that's
you.
a different
So first I'll tell you
There's
Shema.
got to be another reason.
So
That's my point.
There's a different psyche to it.
It's a different.
So let's
thing
start
to
with
it.
Shema. Shema and davening. Shema and davening, he's exempt because this requires concentration.
Yeah.
And 2 people
not in
are
the
exempt from saying Shema. One person is a chassan, someone when he gets married. That the night when he gets married, he's not able to concentrate. So we say you're exempt from saying Shema and davening. And the second one is an onain. An onain is also he can't concentrate, and therefore he's exempt. That's where Irving is saying that he's a osek mitzvah, patur in a mitzvah. He's involved in a mitzvah. Which mitzvah? So getting married, the chassan's involved. That's a mitzvah. Pruvu. He's going to have the first mitzvah of the Torah. He wants to have a baby. He wants to have a child. That's pruvu. So since he's involved and he's thinking, and he has to make sure that he does the mitzvah correctly, so he's
That's
exempt.
actually the mindset of it. That's the why.
Well, he doesn't have to. I don't know if he has to make sure, but he has to. He can't concentrate.
Okay.
So
He
since
won't-
he's busy.
It's more to say that better that you shouldn't say it than say it without any concentration, because they just know, generally speaking, you're not going to be concentrated.
Right. And what is he busy with? Which means if he would be busy, let's say there would be a big football game on. He would be. Let's say he's very thinking. He's very involved, and that's his best team. So, well, what will you say there? What should he do then?
His priorities are mixed up.
Yeah, but that's not a mitzvah.
So but I want to let he's. It says in the Shulchan Aruch.
Well,
what do you
look,
do when you come to that? Yeah.
Well, look, if you can't have concentration, say you have a certain illness or something, again you're exempt.
So now, that's
Brian, like if you don't have arms, you don't have to put on tefillin. You're exempt because you can't.
Yeah, I don't know if I would call him exempt. I would call him onus.
Onus.
Onus means he's nothing to. You ever heard of onus?
I think so.
Onus means it's not his fault. It means it's like a guy, he can't do anything about it. He turns on the alarm, and then his little baby comes in the middle of the night and turns off the alarm, and he doesn't wake up for chakras. He's called an onus, and he's exempt from all punishment because he didn't do anything wrong. Oh, nace, Yehudita, like a miracle. Some say that's where the word comes from.
Well, it's also like Onain. It's very close to Onain too. Onain.
Yeah, but I don't know if that.
But
we have
maybe
to
it's
see.
the same sugar.
Yeah, we'll have to see about.
It might be different sugar. Okay, well.
It's close, but the idea that's an onus. So he's a little bit different. Someone who, right, let's say can't concentrate, or someone doesn't have an arm, he's an onus.
Yeah.
So he won't be held culpable because it wasn't his fault. Now, in terms of someone who, let's say, he's very involved in the football game and he's so into it, right? They just won the Super Bowl.
Right. So he forgets about it, maybe.
So no, let's say he remembers.
Forgets?
No, let's say he remembers. They just won the Super Bowl, and everyone is at the house and they're all jumping up and down, and then they decide to make a minyan for Marav. What do you say? Should he daven Marav then?
Yeah,
Or should he try to get maybe?
I would say he should.
Why? But it's your favorite team. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto Maple Leafs.
It would be the Stanley Cup.
Stanley Cup.
And that I could understand because they haven't won in 46 years. So
what would you say? My question is, what do you do? Do you daven Marav? They're making a minyan because they say we finished. We gotta all go home to our houses. They have like in one house.
Right.
Gotta go home, but we'll daven Marav because it's it's already it's 9. We'll go home, but first we'll daven Marav. Should you daven with them, or should you go to the 10 o'clock Marav?
Maybe go to the 10 o'clock Marav, if I could say that.
Yeah, because you're excited about something, you shouldn't be davening, and you wouldn't
Not
have
because
the proper
I'm not saying because you're excited. Right? Because you won't be able to concentrate. You are so into it, right? You see,
Well,
knows the reaction. You're so into you're thinking and rethinking, and the replay. You're doing the replay of the turning point in the game and the winning goal, and you're so into it that you're going to be.
So is that the same idea? I can remember you're not supposed to daven like if you're just about to eat, like 30 minutes before you're eating, because you're going to have the food on your mind. Like, is that the same idea?
No. 1 second. I don't know about that halacha. You have to show me the source.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what. There is a halacha. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, is it connected to the concept that you haven't actually fulfilled the mitzvah of davening if you don't know what you're talking about in the first part of Shemona Esrei, right? So when you're doing the very first of God's might and being and all those very first things.
Right.
So if you're in a state where you can't concentrate to the extent, just like you couldn't, you didn't really know what you were saying, or for some reason, you didn't huff that you were saying that first part, you can say all the other. What is it? 14 brachas or whatever, 18 or 19, but that first section.
The first 3, I think, are considered.
First 3.
Well, cognizant.
The first one, literally. First one till the word Magen Avraham.
That's
person
what you
has to know every word.
So the point being, though, that if you don't know that, like if you didn't know then you don't know who you're davening to, so you missed it, right?
Excellent.
So what I'm saying is that it's maybe the same sort of idea here, is that if you're so caught up, right, in a moment, like I remember when one of my kids was born, like, do you remember to do? I don't think I did Marav that night. Yeah, I was, you're just caught up in a miracle sort of thing, So like, so would I be an onus there? I don't know.
Yeah, so that could be it depends on the case. Depends what time the baby was born.
Right.
If the baby was born,
Okay, so the baby's born at 8 o'clock. You could daven Marav at 10, but you know what? Your baby's an hour or 2 hours old. Brand new, you're worried about your wife. Is she okay? There's a whole slew of things.
So you have to see
your other kids.
Yeah. So you have to see each case. If the person is needed to be tending to his wife, then there's not even a question. Then he's an onus. If he's busy running to his kids because his kids are crying and they need him at home and he's running home, he's also an onus. If he wants to call his brother, then you have to see, and his uncle, then already it gets a question, because now already it borders on something that's a reshus, something that it's your own decision, and you have to weigh it out to see. Now you have to prioritize, maybe see what you should do. Now already it gets, you have to weigh it out, because here you would have to see, maybe you should daven. That's where the question will come into.
But I'm just wondering if there's a
So
connection.
what you're
That's my
saying,
question.
no, so you're saying is right, yeah. So that's for sure true. If a person can't have kavana in the first blessing in Shemona Esrei to what the meaning, the literal translation of the first blessing, then he didn't get the Shemona Esrei. So Brian is saying beautiful. Then he shouldn't daven. And then I will continue with what you're saying, that if he can't keep that in mind, he doesn't have to have the translation of the rest of Shemona Esrei in mind, but he has to know that he's praying in front of God, and he has to at least have some semblance of prayer. If his mind's going to be racing through whoever he's involved in, so then by the same token, he doesn't daven. The Shulchan Aruch says you have to measure yourself before Shemona Esrei starts. You have to measure and try to weigh yourself and see if you can have kavana and daven Shemona Esrei. If you can't, you're not supposed to daven.
So that would certainly be one reason that if you just lost a parent, that person hasn't even been buried yet. Because say this happened to me, my father passed away Friday, late afternoon. He wasn't buried till, actually it happened to both my parents, I think about it. Both wasn't buried till Sunday, right? So it's very hard to do anything because, I know on Shabbos you're not supposed to, you can't show that you're mourning on Shabbos, but still you're not supposed to do anything.
So on Shabbos, by the way, he's not an onin. On Shabbos, it's a temp, because the reason is why is he not
allowed to
onin
mourn
on
on Shabbos?
That's one thing. Now, there's another reason why he's not onin on Shabbos. Because what is the whole reason? What's the whole idea of an onin? Why is he exempt from doing the mitzvah?
Because he's unsettled.
Right. Well,
he's upset, or he's sad.
So Irving said that there's one more thing. We're calling him an osek b'mitzvah. We're calling him he's involved in the mitzvah.
So Avonik Shabbos?
No.
The mitzvah.
But there's a mitzvah of burying the person who died. So that's a mitzvah, which is, as Irving says, a great mitzvah, right? And it's in front of you.
It's not on Shabbos.
It's not on Shabbos.
You can't bury on Shabbos.
Exactly.
It's not in front of you.
Exactly. So on Tuesday, that mitzvah is incumbent upon the relatives so much that they have to clear their schedule away, because they need to put all their concentration to making sure all the arrangements are made. You have to call the home and the funeral home, and have to call the rabbi and call the relatives, and everyone has to know about the funeral. They have to do all of that. So therefore, their mind is not available, because if it's going to be busy with that mitzvah, then he can't concentrate in Shemona Esrei. So therefore, the rabbi said that is the primary mitzvah incumbent upon him now. Concentrate on the burial right now, and because you're involved in the mitzvah, osek b'mitzvah, pater mitzvah, that's why he's exempt from all other mitzvahs. He's exempt because he's concentrating on mitzvah number one, which is incumbent upon him. It's his full responsibility. Therefore, that's why he cannot concentrate. We don't even tell him to try to concentrate. It's not like when the Super Bowl.
In addition to not being able to concentrate with kavanah, it says that you're also exempt because you might even have bad feelings to Hashem for whatever suffering you're going through.
Okay, that could be.
I think I remember that.
Okay, we'll have to look up the source.
Okay.
Yeah, I seem to remember reading something like that too. Like it's very hard to, at that point in time, maybe you're feeling a certain, negativity.
Okay, so you have to see the source. Could be it's true. That's why the blessing.
But that could be more of an explanation, cycle. That might not be pure halakha.
It's probably in the morning book. I mean, I didn't.
I'm sure it is, because I read.
I make up everything else, but some of the stuff I don't make up.
Why at Shabbat are they not an oneg?
Okay, onain.
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 Oneg is the
would be.
Which means that during the week, since it's incumbent upon him to bury, we'll have to look up the source for what you're saying. But the Gemara and the Rashi is saying here that the main thing is, since it's so incumbent upon him to bury, therefore his mind is and should be on the burial. And it's interesting. It's not because maybe he's distressed. It seems you have to see the Rashi and the Gemara. They say it's because his mind, which means, let's say it would take the body dies. It dies, let's say, middle of the night, and now it's, let's say, the next day 6 o'clock, and they're going to bury him at 6 o'clock. 7 o'clock. So even at 5 o'clock, he's still exempt. Even though it might have been 10 hours, 12 hours ago. But the idea is because his mind is preoccupied with the first mitzvah and the primary mitzvah, which he's supposed to do, and therefore he's exempt. It's like a chassan, the night that he gets married.
But why is he so totally exempt? I guess that was my original question. Like, because I can understand you'd be exempt from one thing, from those things that are like, I don't know, going to a minyan or davening with them, doing the whole, chakras or something like that, or even mincha, or whatever. But to say a bracha, to not say a bracha, or not wash for bread or something, or not say motzi, those kinds of things that you would think are,
You actually have to
unless they
concentrate on that, not to do it. You have to concentrate.
Yes, you're actually forgetting about that because you got to remember.
Yeah, no,
oh gosh, I just said the, like.
It's true. Well,
it's almost.
You got to be.
Well, but like
it's counterintuitive, really.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand the intuitive nature of being positive from all the mitzvahs and I'd be exempt from all of them because of this mitzvah in front of you. But it's almost counterintuitive to say that you can't say bracha when you have a little bite of something.
No, but
you can eat probably something.
No, so he could eat. He could eat, but he doesn't make a bracha.
Yeah.
I know, but that's my question. Why did they say all? Why was it all? In other words.
Yeah. So it seems that it requires a lot of concentration to make a bracha. A person really has to. They should think when you say Hashem's name. We should think
I'll try and see.
Adon Kol. When he say Elokeinu, we should think that he is the master and the Baal Yecholos. He's the ultimate authority who has the ability to do anything. And we're supposed to think of what we're saying. It shouldn't just come, the bracha shouldn't come floating out quickly, but without concentration. The person's supposed to think about it. So it seems that he needs concentration for that also. And just like he's putter from putting on tefillin or any mitzvah, right? He doesn't have to do any mitzvah, and you'll say that's from the Torah. To put on tefillin is from the Torah, or anything. So the rabbis.
The brachas are
from the Rabbanan. So the rabbis said you're exempt from the brachas which require concentration, and they said we want you to free up your concentration in order to concentrate on the mitzvah. Just like a chassan, he has his whole concentration is on the mitzvah that he has to do, and the rabbi said that's fine. Osek b'mitzvah patur b'na mitzvah. You don't have to concentrate on Mariv. You don't have to daven Shema on that night because your mind is preoccupied with the former mitzvah that came first.
Just a question because of the period of time we're in. Say your parent, normally that's what it is, dies during Sphira. So now you're exempt from Sphira that day.
Oh.
So can you pick up the count?
Whoa. That is an excellent question, which I saw.
Sometimes you could have a couple of days.
Yeah, you might have like a day and a half, really, by the time especially if it went over Shabbos and say the person passed away in the morning, Friday morning.
So the first thing is David was asking.
Yeah.
David was asking, why is Shabbos a person?
That's right.
Why is a person not an onain? And the answer to that is because an onain is only because he's preoccupied with the burial. On Shabbos, a person does not make any arrangements for the burial. Shabbos is a day of rest. Therefore, he doesn't do any of the preparations or arrangements, so he's back to normal for Shabbos.
Right.
That's in terms of that.
Okay.
Now, in terms of Sphira, I saw someone ask this question. I saw someone ask it, but I didn't look into it because I didn't think someone would ask this question. But it's an excellent question. It's an excellent question because it's a problem. It presents a problem. Based on what
Can you pick up because you've lost the count?
Based on what we spoke about last week, a person misses a 24-hour period, a day and a night. He has lost the count.
Now you probably can. I'll answer my own question. Probably because of what we said before, right? Because you could hold by the opinion that each day is a separate mitzvah.
Yeah, but we wouldn't let you make a bracha.
No, if you miss.
Because we're scared of the other opinion who says that it could be one big mitzvah for all 49. He missed one of that.
No, but what I'm saying is that maybe because you were exempt from all. I mean, it wasn't like you forgot it. You were exempt. Maybe you wouldn't have to be scared about that other one that says that. You could count on the one who says each one's the same. What was that? Tosfos?
Yeah.
No,
But
right?
I always.
yeah.
It's almost, but it's not like you could. It's not like, well, I have a good excuse now. I'll
Not a good excuse.
No,
it's like you could.
You were
could-
exempt. The rabbi said you should not say it, but he missed it. So I have to look.
I know how you could do it.
I have to look up.
No, I
have
bet
to
I
look up
know.
the answer.
I bet I know. You would just say it without a bracha.
When? That day?
Yeah.
You could do a mitzvah? He's exempt from that mitzvah. He's exempt
No,
from
but you're not
Shabbat.
saying the bracha.
He's
You know
exempt-
how you can make it
mitzvah
up.
is not saying the
You can
bracha.
make it up during the day
The
by just
mitzvah
saying
is not
without a
saying the
bracha, and then you
bracha.
can say
by
it
the
the
day.
following night.
Okay, so so it depends on the case. If he buries the dead person
Right.
before nightfall,
Only misses.
then he should do it by day. Then he should say it by day.
The
Right.
mitzvah is
Without a bracha.
Without
a bracha. Then he's good.
Then the person's buried. Now he's back to mitzvah. You can say it with the bracha.
Excellent.
Why?
But
why
what
is
if
it
it's
so
more than a
important?
day? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's my question. Right, you
Yeah.
hit it on the spot. If he got the burial in before nightfall, then he's good.
he can do it.
Then he could say it before night.
Right.
But if he had, let's say, he had to bury the mace and it took till nighttime,
Yeah.
then he missed the whole day.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the person dies, say at 6:00 p.m., right?
Right.
So now you can't say sphera.
Right.
He's not
Right.
buried yet.
Right.
You're oneg.
Right.
So
Right.
you can't say sphera that night. Sphera
Right.
that
Right.
night. Sphera that night. Person is going to be buried at 2:00 the following afternoon.
Right.
They're buried.
Right.
So at 5:00 you could say it without a bracha.
Right.
And now you haven't missed anything.
Exactly.
But what if it was a situation where you've actually missed a whole day?
Then is a big question.
night.
I have to look up to see if someone would say a heter.
There must have been
Brother,
there must have been a child on that
I
because I
don't
There is
can't
a
believe
shaila.
it wouldn't have happened.
There is a shaila,
Several
and I
times.
saw someone speak about it, but I didn't think I was going to get a question on this. I didn't look into it, but I saw the question, and you have to see if someone will give a heter and someone will give allowance. Maybe you could get an allowance. I'm not sure. I have to see because he missed a day on the one hand. So I want to look it up. I'm going to get back to you on this.
So
I'm gonna get back to
if you miss a day, you can't. You're not supposed to say continue counting with a bracha, but you can still continue without.
Right.
But
You
the
can count.
bracha-
You can
the
count
bracha
either way
is not-
without a bracha. Right.
But the bracha is not the mitzvah.
Right.
The mitzvah is the count.
Right. So when for the next day?
Every day.
But the day when he's an
Saying
onen,
a bracha
but
is not
which
the
day?
mitzvah.
Which day are you asking? The day that he's an onen, or the
No,
next
you
day?
say
The counting is
the
the
next
mitzvah.
right. So the next
For any
day, right? So
even from day 1 to day 50, even all days without a bracha,
true.
you still fulfill the mitzvah
that's true.
count.
So
right?
either way, right? The count is the mitzvah. So he could go on counting the actual count
Right.
without a blessing.
Right.
Well, that's what I would have said, but that's
Right.
what I was asking.
That's for
you.
sure. For sure, he could count the rest
Without a
of-
bracha, but
without a bracha.
could he count with a bracha?
Right.
That's the question.
But Brian wants to know. Could
he
he
even
even?
want to
It's a
say
good
with a
question.
bracha?
It's a very,
Could you even? I have to
Because you're
look it
saying
up.
because you're an honest,
Onen and ones.
Onen.
So, yeah.
sorry.
Well, he wants to know if he's an ones.
And-
And he wants to know
He
if he's an
wants to- and he
ones.
wants to know he's an
Maybe-
ones.
Maybe the ones.
Are you exempt?
Well, no, I meant he's honest because he's an onen,
Oh.
basically, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's a good question. I
And
want
then
to look.
afterwards he becomes oneg.
On Shabbos he'll do onen.
That's Shabbos.
On Shabbos he'll do onen. Uncle, I'll have to look into that. Okay, very good. There's a lot over here. Very good. At least we broke open the subject. I'm going to get back to this. We'll look this up.
That's a good question.
Excellent.
actually.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.